Hi, everybody. This is Geek Dimensions podcast with myself, Stephen Hodson, otherwise known as the Cranky Canuck, and Paul Flaherty, a good friend of mine living down in Alabama, otherwise known as Paul Flaherty, just about everywhere.
Otherwise known as, you mean just known as?
Yeah, known as Paul Flaherty. Otherwise,
Like
well,
Prince.
the at sign.
I'm like Prince, but with two names.
Yes, yeah. How you doing, bud?
I'm good. Good. Happy to be back on the podcast.
Yeah, so am
we
I.
missed a podcast over the weekend, so I feel kind of out of my podcasting rhythm, so I'm happy to get back on.
Oh, God.
Other than that, good, geeking out, tired,
Working hard?
working hard. Pissed off at podcasters everywhere, but other
Yeah,
than
I
that,
saw that post. What prompted that post?
well, you see, I've been trying to get my fat ass back into working out and losing weight, right? So I've
Yeah.
been spending a lot of time on the treadmill lately.
Is that working, or are you still fat ass?
And I mean, like, I'm going to be a fat ass for a while yet. I've got a lot to drop, but I've dropped, like, I don't know, 6 pounds this week. So that's not too bad. But yeah, so I've been spending a lot of time on the treadmill. And of course, instead of just listening to music while I'm on the treadmill, I listen to podcasts, keep myself informed, up to date, blah, blah, blah. But the audio levels are all over the place. Now, this isn't a podcast client issue. This is a podcasting issue.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you might get like two podcasts that are the audio levels are good, and then you get another podcast you can't hear it even with your headphones up full, and you get another podcast and without adjusting the audio, it's immediately making you deaf. Now, there are standards for broadcast audio, and they recently introduced an agreed upon standard for podcasting audio, which is to put your audio out at what is called minus 16 lofts. That is the standard. Lofts is basically a fancy way of saying loudness. You can call it decibels or the LKFS system or whatever you want to, but it's basically a measurement of loudness. And minus 16 lofts is what your podcast should be at audio-wise. Now, I do the audio for this podcast, and I do the audio for Nothing Serious, so we put all our stuff out at minus 16 lofts. And if everybody puts their stuff out at the same level, then you never have to hit the volume button on your stuff. Because imagine if you were like listening to the radio, and every time a song came on, you had to change the volume manually so that it was at a comfortable level.
Yeah.
And that would suck ass. And that's the state of the podcasting world. Now, there are some podcasts out there. Obviously, podcasters have been pushing this move to have everybody on the same level, but it really is just a matter of education, because I'm very sure most podcasters don't even know that this exists, that there are a set levels.
Yes.
Because Christ, I've been podcasting for years, and it took me a long time to figure it out. But yeah, so consider that our sort of PSA to fellow podcasters. Please. It's really easy to do. If you use Audition CC, it is like a 2-second process. It is a drag and drop process. I'm fairly sure there's plugins out there for Audacity, and even mobile podcasting apps like Auphonic. They do it built in. You can set what level you want your produced audio to come out at on that. So it's easy to do, and it makes life a lot better for podcasting listeners, and it'll bring podcasting that one step closer to being a sort of comparable to mainstream media in having standards, and people can just come in and rely on a certain thing.
Yeah. Let's start this off with a bang. Literally, boom! Agent 47. The trailer just hit this week,
and I am not impressed.
What?
I am not impressed. As a fan of the games, I am not impressed by this version of Agent 47. He looks nothing like him. He sounds nothing like him. He's too skinny. It's too much of a Call of Duty meets Fast and Furious type thing. It's just full of... The trailer is full of errors, right? The trailer is full of errors. Like, there's a scene... They close in on him when he's shooting his gun, right? His handgun. And the shell casing is expended. And it's really clear in the slow-mo because they slow it fucking down that it's an expended blank, not an expended actual casing. I mean, because you can see the deformity. You can see, because on the on blanks, the shell casing is a little bit longer than sometimes it's a little bit longer, sometimes it's a little bit shorter. But it is crimped, okay? Because there's no round to expend, and you can see where the crimping is pushed out. And there's just lots of little errors like this, like the whole. I know they were trying to recreate a scene from the game with the whole him sitting in the interrogation room and the whole lot. And I get it. They don't show it happening, but he kicks the table and the sniper rifle goes off. Because clearly the other guy, it happens off screen, but clearly the other guy is holding it, Yeah. So he pulls the trigger. And, I know Agent 47 is supposed to be faster than everybody else, but it's one thing when he's faster than everybody else and you've got a slow-mo bullet coming into the chain to shoot the chain that's on his wrist. It's got him tied down in handcuffs. But the chain should at least react with the same fucking physics as the bullet he's moving at, because it doesn't. The chain flops around the fucking place like it's in its own timeline. It's just full of errors. I don't know. They should have brought Timothy Olyphant back. That's all I'll say.
Really?
Yeah.
So you like the first Hitman movie?
The first Hitman movie was truer to the games than this shit. Because the Hitman games are all about, pressure and stealth. And, you're under pressure. It's not really that there's a terrible amount of action, but you're under pressure to get things done, and it's stealth driven. This is fucking one man Call of Duty meets Fast and Furious. I mean,
well, I played this trailer on my live show on Twitch for the audience and for my co-hosts, and everybody almost to the letter was like, "Oh my god, I got to see this movie! This movie!"
Yeah, I'll see it, but and I put this out on my stream too, and I had a couple of people like Sean Dark message me, on Facebook, and he was like, "Yeah, Timothy Olyphant was better."
Really?
Mm-hmm. He just has more of the Agent 47 stature. You know what I mean? I mean, regardless of how good the previous movie was, which it did have its flaws, don't get me wrong, it wasn't fucking groundbreakingly awesome. Timothy Olyphant was still a more believable Agent 47 than this guy.
I think one thing that's bothered me was with the original movie was the amount of time they spent on the backstory of him. Was it showed him escaping, didn't it? From the compound where they were indoctrinated as hitmen.
Yeah, it showed some of them trying to escape, but he didn't. I may be wrong on this. I think my recollection is that he actually shot one of the others that was escaping as they climbed the fence. Yeah, I think that's what happened. I think he actually shot one of his escaping cast. But then, because the whole story in the original one is that he is set up by the agency.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm going to watch it, and this thing might surprise me. But when I see that many fuck-ups in the trailer, I don't have much hope for the film.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you have any hope for Spectre?
I kind of do. Okay, so they've released Spectre, for those who don't know, James Bond movie number 24. Daniel Craig again as Jimmy Bondage. They've released some behind the scenes footage. It's going to be one of their big car chases. I forget where it's filmed. I think it's in Austria, and it's going to be
it's Austria.
awesome. They don't show Daniel Craig except for like very briefly. What I will say is Daniel Craig looks younger. So it looks like they might be finished with that story arc that they ran through Skyfall, through the last 3 movies, basically, because you ended up with James Bond being fucking old and being a lot like you, old and decrepit and reliant on
you too.
and an addict. But it looks like they cleaned them up for this one. So I'm interested. I'm always interested in James Bond. I mean, I've loved even the bad James Bond movies this time.
Well, here's the thing. I know that there's been, I don't know, sort of rumor mill type bullshit that they're seriously thinking of a black actor for the next James Bond arc or series.
Okay, I'm all for equality, right?
Yes.
But there's no point in making a character black just because. Okay? James Bond always... It wouldn't actually fit fucking James Bond's
canon.
History.
No, it wouldn't fit the canon.
Look, equality everywhere, right? But there's some stories that you just... There's no point in coming along and just saying, like, let's make everybody black because.
Well, hey, how about this?
For some stories, it's going to work that you can change the color of the person. You can even change the sex of the main lead.
Thor.
Yeah, right. Because Thor, the god of thunder, was ever female. But James Bond is one of those that he is. He's
your typical Brit, English, white male, gentlemanly type killers.
I mean, you could have the next Doctor Who black.
Yes.
You could have the next Doctor Who be a black female.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong because it's within
the canon,
and there's no problem with it. And we're used to.
Here's one for you. Now, some big news that broke this past week, and I don't have it in the show notes, is the fact that Sony and Marvel have come to an agreement, and they are going. Marvel now has basically has back the control of the Spider-Man franchise for the movies. Okay. Now, it's already been declared he will be appearing. Spider-Man will be appearing in the I think it's the Infinity Wars or the Secret Wars story arc of the Avengers. He'll be in that. There's some that are suggesting that the Spider-Man that they use be from the Ricky Morales story arc from the Spider-Man canon, in which case Ricky Morales was black,
and that's fine because that's canon.
So that would work for you.
Yeah.
Even though Peter Parker has always been like Spider-Man's always been like I'm not saying I disagree.
Here's the thing, the Peter Parker character could work either black or white. That's the thing, right? The thing about Peter Parker was not that he was white. The thing about Peter Parker was that he was socially inept. The thing about Spider-Man is that he's a Superman. He's a superhero with inadequacy issues. You know what I mean?
And always broke.
Problems, and he's always fucking broke, and and he can't get his love life straight, and he's, Superman is just I keep saying Superman. Spider-Man is kind of an embodiment of the everyday dude with superpowers, right? And so that's one superhero that could definitely. I was going to say that's one superhero that could definitely go black, but that's a fucking porn reference.
Just in case you notice, folks, we're not politically correct here, so fuck off.
No, but I mean, I think the point that we're trying to make is that it works in some places, that you can change gender, sex, color, race of characters. But it doesn't work in others. And James Bond is one of the ones that
it doesn't work. Yeah. Like, we made reference to Thor and Marvel's decision.
And actually, just before we go any further, there's very few black actors that I can think of that would make a good James Bond if you went that way. And of the ones that I can think of, they've already been in James Bond movies.
Yeah.
Either working for MI6 or else they've already had parts.
Maybe that would be the tie-in. Is that they worked and they've taken over the code? Because James Bond's always been referred to as a code name.
Well, James Bond is, but he's James Bond 007. Yes. It's not like when what's his name? Game of Thrones. Ned Stark.
Sean Bean.
Dies and everything. Exactly. Sean Bean. It's not like when Sean Bean was 006. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You couldn't have Sean Bean 007. It's a package.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the other things that's been talked about when it comes to the superhero movies is the dearth of women superhero movies. The Black Widow has always been touted as being the one that could have been the breakthrough character in having a solo movie. But that never came about. Because she actually is better suited, I personally think, to the Avenger-type movies. I don't know if you could really do... I love the Black Widow character, don't get me wrong. And I think, the actress they have doing that is perfect for it. She's got a nice ass, too. But apparently, I guess the one superhero character we're most potentially going to see as far as being a woman superhero is Captain Marvel. And rumor is that Marvel has been sort of talking with Angelina Jolie to direct the movie to the tune of $20 million.
All right. So there's 3 points. He says, holding up 5.
Yeah.
There's 3 points to address what you just said there. All right. 1, dearth of female superheroes
in the movies. Yes.
Yeah. Probably because the studios are afraid to do them. Mm-hmm. The reason they're afraid to do them is no matter what they do.
Oh yeah,
no matter how they dress them, no matter how they make her act, there's going to be they're going to piss off one half of the fucking internet or the other.
Yes.
No matter how fine a line they walk.
Yeah.
Right? She's too fucking sexy. She's not fucking sexy enough. She's not dressed appropriately. She's overdressed. She's too fucking... she's too manly. She's not feminist enough. She's not this. She's not that. Somebody is going to have something to complain about, and it piss off a lot of people. It's not as easy a line as it is.
No.
Here, because all the stereotypes that women complain about to women that are also applied to men, but nobody complains about them when they come to men. You see, so they can walk that line. That's point number 1. 2, Captain Marvel. Really?
Yeah, I know.
Really? That's like I go out tomorrow and I pen a fucking superhero book and the superhero is better than Superman and I'm just going to call him Paulo Flaherty. And then I'm going to make a movie of it. That kind of hubris just pisses me off. And Captain Marvel, no. Just no.
Well, okay. Number 3. Go ahead.
I'm just not a fan of Captain Marvel. But then again, I never got invested in the comics or the series of Captain Marvel, so just maybe. But just the artwork that I've seen, the whole lot, there's probably a reason why she doesn't turn up in a lot of the other franchises. That's all I'm saying. Right? Most important part of this, why I'm going to call complete bullshit to it, even if this did start with OK Magazine. $20 million to have Angelina Jolie direct the movie. We are talking about the woman who has only directed 5 things since 2007, 3 of which have been released. One is a documentary called A Place and Time, which only did 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb. The second is from 2011, In the Land of Blood and Honey, story about the Bosnian War. 4.3 out of 10 on IMDb. And the third is the movie Unbroken, which came out last December. Now, that is doing well on IMDb, 7.1 out of 10, right?
Yeah.
It's about a plane crash in World War II. And, the guy spends 47 days in a raft with two fellow crewmen before he's caught by the Japanese Navy and sent to a POW camp. None of these movies or documentaries have any indication that she has any capability whatsoever of directing an action movie, let alone a
superhero
sci-fi adventure action movie.
Yeah.
So I call complete, utter, and total bullshit on that.
Well, I personally don't see her being the director. It just doesn't. I know that there's pressure for them to have a female director for some reason, as if because men can't direct women properly in a movie.
Yeah, but you know what? Women can't necessarily direct men properly either.
No.
Because here's the thing. It's not about whether or not men can direct women or whether or not women can direct men. It's about having a
coherent story
director that lets the actors do what they do best. Gets the best from his actors while portraying the story.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Which, out of the Marvel universe, because this is strictly Marvel, so we can't talk about Wonder Woman because that's DC. Who do you think, what female superhero character would be the one to go with?
I don't have an answer for that off the top of my head.
I don't either. Because really, it's not a problem. I think part of the problem is it's not because there's a dearth of female superhero movies, and I put that in quotes. It's the fact that there's a dearth of female superhero characters to begin with.
Well, I mean...
no. Let me rephrase that, okay? Movie-worthy characters.
Okay, movie-worthy, because, I mean, if you go to Wiki and you look up female characters in the Marvel Universe, there's
lots.
There's tons of them.
But how many of them are worthy of it? Like, really, when it came down to it, I think Black Widow is the only one with that recognizable name.
Yeah, I mean...
and Captain Marvel does have, okay, they might make the mistake and think they're going to see another Captain America movie, but they're actually seeing Captain Marvel. But, really, what recognizable female character is in the Marvel universe? That is movie worthy.
Well, Elektra could do with a reboot.
Yeah. That was such a sad excuse for a movie. I'm sorry, but that was just bad.
I'm wondering whether or not did that movie come out before or after Black Widow? Not Black Widow, Daredevil, the original Daredevil movie.
I think it was after because it was tied in, it was
spin-off.
Yeah. Because the Elektra in the Daredevil movie, sort of either did die or maybe died or didn't die and disappeared.
Yeah.
She did her ninja tricks and disappeared, or she dead. They never made that.
Oh yeah, because in the Daredevil movie, she got stabbed right through the gut, right?
Yeah.
With the sai, and it came all the way up, and you could see it coming out her back. It looked like it was coming out her spine. Yeah. But seconds later, she's crawling.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to tell. They could always bring back May Parker. Let's have a.
Who?
Aunt May.
Oh, Aunt May.
Let's give her an exosuit and off she goes.
You think so? Yeah. A geriatric superhero?
She wouldn't be the first geriatric superhero. I grew up watching on British TV when I was a kid, right? A long, long time ago, there was a TV series called Super Gran. And it was about a grandmother.
Let's go on to something else with both our favorites. Constantine.
Right. So, No word on NBC picking it up yet.
Yes.
But it might move to Sci-Fi.
Which probably would be better for it.
Anything would be better for it than NBC right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
But if it moves to Sci-Fi, obviously Sci-Fi has a bit more free range because it's not network television. So it can stop being this kind of supernatural procedural
bullshit,
Law and Order with fucking supernatural occurrences. So it can get darker, and maybe Matt Ryan can expand the character a bit, which would be good.
Well, I did notice.
I still think it needs to go to Netflix. That's where.
Yes. Yeah. I'm waiting so anxiously for the Netflix Marvel deals to hit and show, because I know I think they're wrapping up the Daredevil, and they've started work on the Jessica one. No word on the Luke Cage yet, and no word on the Defenders yet. But they are working on the second part of that 4-part package. I would love to see, like I did notice in the last of the Constantine I watched, he actually was holding a cigarette. He didn't light it, but he was actually holding a cigarette.
Yeah, that's not the first time. I mean, it happens like in the very first episode as well, I think, but you never actually get to see him smoking. I don't even smoke, but it's integral to his character.
Hell yeah. He was a chain smoking.
Speaking of being a fan of the comic books, then, what do you think about the speculation that if it does move to Sci-Fi, it'll be renamed as Hellblazer?
That would probably be a better name for it, to be honest.
So, it might be a better name amongst the comic book fans.
Yeah.
But I think with the wider audience that it's picked up, are they going to make the association that Constantine is now Hellblazer?
I think they would do a big advertising push, and they would probably go like, what, Hellblazer, Constantine.
Yeah. Or Constantine, Hellblazer.
Yeah.
And then
gradually phase out the Constantine part and just leave it as Hellblazer if it goes for more than one season. Or more than two, because I think they'll probably move it at the end of this series run.
So, speaking of going for more than one, Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
What's this about it being risky?
I don't fucking know.
This seems like a fucking non-story. It's like James Gunn, right?
Yep.
Talks about how he made his plans for Guardians of Galaxy 2 while shooting Guardians of Galaxy 1. And obviously he wants to deal with the backstory of
John, the Star-Lord.
Star-Lord, Peter Gunn. And, the whole thing... sorry, not Peter Gunn. Peter Quill. And wants to deal with his parentage. Because, as I said at the end of it, he's at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 1, spoilers, people, his DNA isn't all entirely human, which is why he was able to hold the fragment for so long.
Yeah.
Right? But they're not going... He said he's not going to do what's in the comics.
Yeah, it's going to be basically his own idea branched off from the comics. And I guess apparently Marvel, the bigwigs at Marvel have said, whoa, that's risky.
But okay.
Yeah.
So it's not that fucking risky if they went, oh, that's risky, but okay.
Yeah, we'll give you $20 to $100 million. Go play with our money some more.
Well, let's be honest. Even if Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is shit, it's going to make bank.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the strength of the first one. There's no two ways.
But
I just don't see how he could turn out a shit movie after that.
No.
It might be as good because he's got a lot to live up to. But it'll be...
Like I think the caretaker directors, and I use that phrase mainly because they've tried to maintain the directors between the superhero movies. Now, mind you, Whedon is gone from Avengers 2, or that's going to be the last one he does, and he's taking a break.
I think it's still going to be the last one he does.
Yeah. Now you've got James Gunn, who seems to be the caretaker director for Guardians of the Galaxy. And given his success with number 1, what I'm glad is that they aren't bringing some other director, and he goes to a producer role.
Yeah.
That would not bode well. He's maintaining that caretaker role, which.
Do you know what I'm worried about, though? I'm worried about that if you have too many directors that are constantly taking on a caretaker role, that the formula doesn't change and that things get stagnant.
I think it depends on the director that they have.
You know, I'm afraid that basically what'll happen is you get the J.J. Abrams effect, which every movie is the fucking same.
Yeah,
you know what I
mean? Flare effects. Yeah. I'm with Whedon walking away from the Marvel Universe for however long he does, because I don't see him staying away for very long, in all honesty. I think well, it's not just that. I think he loves it. I think he loves that world. I think he loves it.
No, but I'm saying is, like, even if he didn't love it, you couldn't stay away for it for kind of money to be offering.
Oh, no. No. But who's the caliber that can take over for him?
I don't know. There's lots of for Whedon.
Yeah, take over for Whedon as the Marvel Universe major tentpole. Like, who are they going to get to direct the Strange movie? Who are they going to get to direct the Black Panther movie, which they're talking about as Solo?
I don't think it's so much about Whedon directing things. I think Whedon is a bit more like Bill Gates was in Microsoft's heyday. You know, not actually doing stuff, but actually had his hand in stuff, but not actually directing, not actually putting stuff out there. Being the Whedon is like the fucking Steve Jobs of fucking this shit, right? He's not actually building the shit. He's just coming along and saying, yeah, that works, that doesn't work, this doesn't work, this works, you know, I want that changed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The creative influence. There's probably a lot of people that could step up to that plate, but nobody has his name recognition right now.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think about this report from Lionsgate that they want more Hunger Games, and then, you know, they want a franchise exhibition?
I think I just said everything I need to say with that.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Hunger Games movies. I don't like the Hunger Games movies. I think it's over-processed appeal to hormonal teenagers shite. I have a huge problem with the whole state of movies right now. This whole PG-13 thing is just PG. It's just fucking me off.
Well, that's like what they're doing with Deadpool. Well, you know, Ryan Reynolds is saying it's going to, you know, we're going to keep faithful to the character, but when you stop and realize that it's Fox doing it and they are going for a PG-13, I'm sorry, that's not Deadpool. Deadpool is not PG-13. You're lucky these are rated.
Go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/PauloFlaherty. And yesterday I posted, actually I'll send it to you for inclusion in the show notes. I posted an 18-minute video called What the Fuck Happened to PG-13. All right? Mm-hmm. PG-13 was originally introduced because, one, you had PG, which was for kids, and then R, and that was kind of it, right? And, of course, you had X after that, right? Yeah. But they wanted to introduce a rating that would allow PG to be edgier.
Yeah.
Right? But what PG-13 has done is it has reduced the number of R-rated movies because PG-13 you can get a much wider
audience,
paying audience with. So instead of making PG edgier, PG has become so fucking diluted now, it's babies only, right? PG-13 now has actually diluted PG, and it's made R shit. Yeah. And everybody is making PG-13 movies because that is the widest audience that they can market to in one go. And it's a really, really good video to watch. It was made at the end of last year. But it shows the difference between, one, what PG and PG movies were like before this rating came in, right?
Yeah.
Which some of them will be almost considered horror now, right? Because the standards have been. The film's not advocating, or the video's not advocating for getting rid of the rating system. It's just about we need to fix the fucking rating system because it's actually ruining movies. Because studios are taking movies that are really, really good and chopping the crap out of them so that they can fit them into a PG-13 bracket, right?
Yeah.
Including, like, we saw, what was the Vin Diesel movie?
The Fast and Furious?
No, he did a sci-fi movie not too long ago.
Oh, it was, you mean I know the one.
And the director even told people, don't watch it. Right?
Yeah.
And the reason was because he had made this awesome movie. And then to make it PG-13, the studios came along and chopped out all the good bits, including, half of the fucking plot. So the movie just didn't make sense. Right?
Is that the one that Katie Sackhoff was in? The Pitch Black?
No, it wasn't a Riddick movie, no.
Oh, okay.
He was on a train.
You're not thinking of Snowpiercer?
No. No. I'm not. Anyway, it doesn't matter what it was. It's just an example. That this idea of a PG-13 rating is actually ruining movies and ruining what directors are doing because of pressure from the studios in order to make, vast amount of money. But you can't blame them for wanting to make money. But, as I said yesterday, the politically correct crowd, helicopter parenting, and capitalism ruin everything.
Yes. Here's one that I still am trying to figure out is Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam in the Shazam movie.
The Rock.
Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong. I think he'll be perfect for whatever role they put him in because he's okay. He does the job and he does it well.
Yeah, just wait for all the PC people who have no idea of the comic backstory and history.
Yeah.
Who hear Black Adam played by a black guy and they're gonna be like, "Fucking racist."
Yeah. But what do you think? Is like, I'm sorry, I'm not even really sure I want to see Shazam, period. Like, it just, like, that is not one of the superheroes that has any rebootability. Huh?
He hasn't got any Shazam.
He hasn't got any Shazam at all. No, none at all.
And I'm not terribly impressed with Dwayne Johnson as a...
He's not that bad.
He's not that bad, But, his best role was probably Doom.
I don't know. I think he did pretty good in the last couple of.
Well, no, he was okay in Pain and Gain, with.
I never watched that one, so.
With Mark Wahlberg. He was okay in Pain and Gain. He was pretty good in that, but.
I think he did okay also in the couple of Fast and Furious that he was in, where he pays the government.
I can't take him. I can't take him as a serious actor. It's the same with Batista, who's Guardians of the Galaxy. He's going to be Inspector. Batista's turned up in fucking everything these days. I'm like, what? But you know what? Fair dues to him. He's bringing the money in, and at least they're not putting him in roles where he really has to speak much.
Yeah, he's a strong silent type. Yeah,
to his strength.
Yeah. What?
Speaking of the strong silent type. There's a guy out there called Jeffrey Vandergoot, and I'm betting he wishes his Twitter bot was silent.
Of course, this had to happen in Britain.
I don't think if it's got anything to do with Britain, I think it would have had the same problem here. But basically, what's going on is that this guy is a developer, and he created a Twitter bot.
Yep.
And the Twitter bot would, basically repurpose messages that were sent. And, attempt to put the words together coherently in order to send responses and that sort of stuff. But in response to something that somebody else said, it put together something that sounded really like a death threat.
And he got visited by the
And
police.
people didn't know it was a bot.
Yeah.
Thought they took it seriously, and he got a visit from the police. No charges. It's all cleared up.
Yeah. He
He
has taken the bot down because he doesn't feel like he wants to deal with that kind of bullshit. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't either. But, come on.
I'm just thinking, we talked a couple of weeks ago on the podcast about AI and about how they start to take over. And, how all these big scientists and computer guys, Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking and Clive Sinclair, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all signing on to this thing about making sure that we can control the AIs that are being created as we go forward. And here's a little guy's Twitter bot made by one guy at home issuing death threats.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, obviously, realistically, there was no malice behind this.
No, of course not.
But how do we know what the bot was thinking?
Oh, now come on. No.
No,
Well,
but what it does illustrate, right, is that the ability to control an AI is going to be entirely dependent upon the intelligence and the foresight and most importantly, the foresight.
Oh, yeah.
Creators.
Yep.
Right? Because if you build an AI and you give it enough resources, the goal is to have it smarter than us, right?
Yep. Which I think is not a good idea to have at the beginning. Like, that's just like, that's got to be, I'm sorry. If you're going to create an artificial intelligence and your goal is to make it smarter than us, you're going to have problems.
Yes, but there's no point in doing it if it's not smarter. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I understand that, but
because otherwise, just hire a bunch of fucking kids and make a sweatshop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, mental sweatshop. But here's, the thing is, like, if you think that isn't going to be fraught with dangers, I'm sorry, you're an idiot.
Well, I'm going to move from one thing that's idiotic to another. Right?
Oh, okay, all right.
It's not really idiotic, but there's a mental jump here that I don't think your idol Elon Musk has thought of.
Okay.
So we all know he signed on now to
responsible AI.
To responsible AI, right? But at the same time, he has announced that Tesla is going to start producing batteries that can power your entire house. Now they already the Toyota Mirai or Mirai, I can't, Mirai vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Has a removable battery that can be used as a backup power supply for your house, right?
Nice.
Musk is talking about building batteries within the next 6 months. It's basically a stationary battery pack that could charge your house for up to a week if it's fully charged. The average house for up to a week.
Okay.
Now, you know that these are going to become the new universal fucking power supplies for everything everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Every office fucking have one, right? For a week.
Yeah, that's...
There will be no pulling the plug on Skynet because it'll have a shit ton of these things charged and waiting. Sorry, Musk, but if you're worried about it, do it. Right? You've just given it away to continue and to get the fucking Terminators to get the power plant restarted while the grid is down. Without relying on backup diesel generators or some shit.
Oh god, let's sort of finish off with one really stupid bit of news, which we've had a lot of this week, but definitely, I guess the new word or the new hot word in Hollywood is recalibration.
What? This isn't in the show notes.
Yeah, it is. Halloween will get a recalibration from the Saw Raiders. What the fuck is a recalibration?
That basically, they don't say what it's going to mean. They do say. So obviously, Halloween is Jason Voorhees for those who don't make the immediate mental connection, and Saw is, I want to play a game, and puts everybody through the shit, right? And two of the writers behind some of the Saw films have been brought on to write the latest Halloween for Dimension films. They do say that a recalibration is not a remake, it's not a reboot, and it's not a reimagining.
Then what the fuck is it?
What is it? Exactly.
Yeah.
Because what can you do with a franchise? You can remake it, you can reboot it, or you can reimagine it, or you can carry on in the same vein.
Yeah.
If you carry on in the same vein, it's not a recalibration. Unless by recalibrating, they're basically going to say, well, you know, we're going to take this movie and we're going to remove the titties and we're going to add more gore. But that's a fucking reimagining.
Yep. I don't get what the word
remake
means.
Even.
I just
wonder if they wanted to come up. They just tried to come up with some word so that they would have an excuse to put out a press release that sounded some way interesting to say that the writers from Saw. And really, has there been a good Saw movie since
number one? It's like the Blair Witch Project. Like there is like anything after the first one is pointless. You know, it's the same thing with anyone like Scream 2. Come on, really? Like come on. Recalibration.
Well, you know what was really good about the Saw movie?
It was scary as fuck.
No. Wesley from The Princess Bride gets his leg cut off. As you wish. You know, and in the scary movie remake, then they had Dr. Phil do it. Remember?
Yeah. Well,
you see, and there we go. The scary movie franchise, right? PG-13, all of them.
Yeah.
Bad humor. Could have been so much better if they let them go R.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, right? Off on a just minor rant here, right?
Okay, go ahead. Go for it.
There's kids, there's teenagers, there's adults, right?
Yep.
We gotta make shit for adults and market it to adults. And, you know, you can't live in this age where everything is fucking family orientated. Because one, not everybody has a family. And two, I can tell you, right? There's a man, 4 fucking kids. Every now and then, you want time away. You want something that is on your level, right?
Yep.
Not on a teenager's level. Not on, my 18-month-old child's level. My wife and I actually really enjoy the time when the kids are in bed and Malcolm's in bed. And, we've spent a good solid day with him. But now it's time for us to have entertainment that is geared at us.
Yeah.
I'm finding a good R-rated movie where they don't fucking pull punches. Where they're not, insulting our intelligence and watering shit down for the politically correct crowd. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It really is. And the PG fucking 13 rating has to go. I'm sorry, teenagers, but fuck you. Because look, George Carlin said it best, right? He was talking about the politically correct crowd, right?
Yeah.
And I believe, probably going to fuck up the quote, but I believe what he says is that the politically correct are the kind of people who want to ban steak because a baby can't chew it. Yeah? Nobody can have it because babies can't handle it, right? There you go.
Yeah. Well, on that note of the final rant from Paul O'Flaherty for this show, well, we're gonna call it down because I know he's got to get back to work and do the daily grind, and I got to get on with some other stuff to do as well. So we're gonna call this week's podcast to a close. and I want to thank Paul for joining me. And I got to get more coffee. I need more
Happy
coffee.
to be here, man. It's
Yes.
I'm glad we moved this show to Fridays.
Yeah, it's a nice way to end the week. So on that note, folks, thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoy the show, and we will see you next Friday for another edition of the Geek Dimensions podcast. In the meantime, remember, keep it geek.